You get a title match, and you get a title match, and you get a title match, and you get a title match. Everyone's gonna get a goddamn title match. I'm John Rant with my review of AEW Dynamite from the Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia. 5,500 very, very, very loud, passionate fans brought the noise, and did AEW bring the funk? Terry, Dory Jr., Dory Sr., or was it just all funky? Oh, somebody stop me. Okay, there were things I liked on the show. There's also one particular thing I'm going to dissect, like a science room cadaver. So anyway, Excalibur, Shivani, and Taz on commentary. Honestly, these are like 3 science room cadavers because I respect what Shivani has brought to professional wrestling since, coming into it in 1983. Yes, he did leave for a while. He called baseball whatever it is. Tony Khan liked him when he was watching Nitro, and that's fine. Shivani, at first, was fine on commentary. Now he doesn't need to be doing it. It's really getting to the point where it's almost getting a little bit sad. Taz, I don't mind him being a little bit heelish, but I think his prime of commentary has sort of passed him by. I mean, actually, you could argue that passed him by a little bit ago. Excalibur is fucking rotten. The commentary has been the biggest issue when it comes to AEW. And don't misunderstand me, WWE has completely run me off as far as reviewing their weekly stuff and even their pay-per-views. But commentary has been one of the show-killing things in AEW. From Dynamite to Collision to pay-per-views, they need to refresh that shit. They need to purge Impact. They need to find commentators from indies. They need to do something. I don't know, use Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman a little bit more often. So anyway, the crowd is very, very loud. Very, very loud. That's one of the few things I actually liked about this show. And there were other things I liked. MJF versus Kevin Knight for the TNT Championship. And let me just say, Kevin Knight, extremely athletic. Very, very gifted. And I'm so thrilled that he's getting a chance to shine on this stage. And I knew he was going to bring the goddamn athleticism up to an almost god tier. And I hate to use that term because, one, I'm a 45-year-old white guy saying that, so I don't necessarily think I'm the audience. But also that term has been used a lot. But Kevin Knight is very good. MJF jump starts. He does a powerbomb on the barrier. Okay, that kind of set the tone for what we were going to get for the night. Knight is very good. He jumped around a lot. He did a dive to a pop, a sunset flip, a series of reversals and everything. Those got 2. A pop-up cutter by MJF, very good. That got a 2 count. Knight seemed to hurt his knee. I think he's okay, though, because they didn't immediately go for the finish, so I'm hoping that he was just selling, because God forbid that did look rough, but good on him. And MJF hit a Destroyer, Panama Sunrise. I got a 2 count. UFO splash after the break, and that was a delayed 2 count. MJF targeted the knee, hit the Alabama Slam, and then he fakes out with the title, and then he gets the ring, but gets hit with a low blow, got outsmarted, roll up, 1, 2, 3, and it was certainly nice to see MJF get outsmarted. Maybe he's going to have to try different tactics, but then a post-match attack, and then Darby came from the rafters and hit a Scorpion Death Drop, and okay, that's fine, it is what it is, as long as we're not doing it around Dr. Martha Hart. You have to say Dr. Martha Hart, by the way. And Darby's got a microphone. MJF's at the stage with a microphone and basically, give me my rematch. No. Somebody else deserves a match. It's Kevin Knight. You need to put up something that, is important to you, Max, before you get a rematch. Brody shows up and basically says, not only is the match the main event, obviously, since it's the title, but Brody says, hey, Kevin Knight, you're going to be challenging me next week because Darby ain't going to make it. He almost didn't. There we go. Then we get a music video of the interactions that Brody King and Darby Allin have had. Fun fact, they actually had, remember a while ago, they had something where Darby got attacked at a Hot Topic? That was at the South Center Mall. Now, by the way, it's not the only crime that took place in or around the South Center Mall, because Tukwila. So, Cope and Cage are backstage. Renee apparently was not feeling good. She's very under the weather. Technically, unless we're flying above the clouds, we're all under the weather. Renee probably should have stayed at home. They could have brought somebody else there. I'm just saying. I mean, she is a mother, and she is a human being who refuses to tell her husband he has really bad instincts. More on that later. But maybe stay home. Cope and Cage do their stuff and whatever. So the Brawling Birds took on Emily J. and Jordan Blade. Apparently Jordan Blade is somebody that people like, I guess. I'm not familiar with them. good they were on TV, they got squashed, and there we are. So, Tekla and Sky Blue, because I guess Julia Hart was busy. Dumb bitches was a term that was said about 10 times. I do like Tekla's, promos and the way she carries herself. It does not hurt that she is both gifted and incredibly hot, but in all seriousness, she carries herself well. And I'm very happy that she signed with AEW. Then Okada took on Ace Austin for the International Championship, one of the 20,000 titles that AEW has. Okay, let me just say this much. Again, I am off the Okada train. I'm sorry. I know that he's never going to be what he was, and he does not have to be the ace like he was of New Japan, or the Rainmaker. Tanahashi was the ace. You get my point. The main guy. He doesn't have to be the main guy to elevate the company. But he often doesn't really try. Ace Austin is good, but he's always losing. Don Callis is on commentary, the aborted fetus of professional wrestling, as it were. And, yeah, the match was what it was, but I knew Ace Austin was going to lose, and he did after a Rainmaker. Nothing against Ace Austin, but I don't want to see Okada for a number of months after he hopefully drops the title to Takeshita, and hopefully it is a 10-minute match. Meaning it will probably go about 30, where Okada might try 5 goddamn moves. Again, Take deserves to be paid like $1 million goddamn dollars a year. And I'm not just talking between New Japan and AEW. I'm talking by AEW. He has brought it. He is very, very good. Even if the DDT Pro instincts tend to influence him sometimes, because DDT Pro is a deeply unserious wrestling promotion, no matter how many talented people came from there. But Take is somebody that could absolutely do some great shit in AEW. And Okada can go the fuck home, hopefully, and find some motivation. Apparently, they went back to the Bandito set, where it was the Western thing, where, remember, it was Bandito's return, and he was targeting criminals, but not the innocent. Well, Swerve targeted everybody, including the innocent. Everybody involved in the acting portion of this needs to find something else to do, and I don't mind a Swerve versus Bandito feud, but good goddamn Christ on a cracker, motherfucker, this was terrible. This was stagey as fuck. I mean, I'm sorry. If I'm going to kill WWE for it, I'm going to kill Impact, for their stuff. I'd be one of the few people talking about Impact. The whole point is, this was bad. This was really, really bad. But again, Swerve versus Bandito, okay. And great job making the black man target everybody. That's great optics going on right now, AEW. Okay. So, I am aware of what happened on Collision. That, after Ospreay got kidnapped by the Deathriders, now they're doing something where they're trying to make Will Ospreay the true icon that he can be. Okay. One, fuck Jon Moxley if he came up with this goddamn shit, because Dick the fucking Boozer has no goddamn good instincts. Anytime Yuta and Shafir and Garcia are given any amount of television time, wrestling dies a little bit more. The uncircumcised string bean pod that is Wheeler Yuta. Garcia is seemingly eroding like a goddamn anorexic. And Shafir is not any good. Claudio is fucking just there. This was a terrible thing, but let's break this down. Let's dissect this whole goddamn thing. Since I got, and by the way, this and another thing soon after pretty much killed my interest in most of the rest of this show. Let's dissect this. Okay, William Regal comes into AEW. Moxley and Bryan have a thing where after a match, I think it was Revolution 2022. Was it 2022? It had to have been 2022. He does something where he basically gets them to band together, and then they form the BBC. I know it's the BCC, but that's what this deserves, because the Blackpool Wombat Club. So they do that, they bring in others and everything and that kind of stuff. Okay, recruiting that, Regal realizes that being in AEW is not really conducive to anything, because nobody really listens. Rumor, innuendo, inherendo, I don't know. So the BCC. Then Regal leaves after, doing the thing where he's aligning with MJF, but then that doesn't end up lasting long, because MJF takes out Regal because then Regal's written off of TV, and then he can't appear on TV until his contract is out. But he can sign with WWE, but he just can't be on TV. Whatever it is. Whole point is Mox, Brian, Claudio, and then they're trying to recruit or trying to bring in Garcia and Yuta. And I'm sorry. There is no amount of helium, there is no amount of chemicals, there is no amount of anything that you can do to make Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia matter as anything more than jokes in a mainstream wrestling program. I don't care if they are good people. I don't care if they, save goddamn burning babies from a goddamn ice flow. I don't know how that works. They could do the most grand act of heroism ever. They are not mainstream professional wrestlers. They have tried with Garcia for years and years and years. None of it has worked. There was a time where maybe it could have worked. And that was about 4 goddamn years ago. Wheeler Yuta is an embarrassment to watch. And Shafir eventually came along because when Jon Moxley came back after whatever the fuck it was, he ended up doing something where he aligned with Shafir. And all this stuff that has gone on with the BBC, the thing with Moxley being the champion, then the feud with Punk, and then the all-out brawl-out and that kind of stuff. And that happened in 2022, and then all the stuff I mentioned with Regal. So, okay, Bryan Danielson's with them. The BBC is starting to act a little bit more heelish, but they have championships, they're doing this stuff, whatever it is. And then, because Bryan's going to retire, because he, has a busted goddamn neck, because he's a dipshit when it comes to taking care of his body. And I know he busted his body coming back to wrestle. And I'm grateful for that. The whole thing about it is, though, after I found out that Danielson was one of the people that really vouched for Yuta and Garcia, he's a terrible judge of talent, by the way. And I'm not against people earning money in wrestling. I am against people getting more television time than they will deserve in this lifetime or any goddamn lifetime. But, Moxley is, doing what he's doing. I remember he was IWGP champion at one point. God forbid that feels like a goddamn lifetime ago. They basically have it where Danielson wins the championship from Swerve. Okay. And then they turn on goddamn, Danielson and try to put a plastic bag over his goddamn head. Yuta tried doing that. Honestly, I'd rather take a plastic bag over the head than have to watch Wheeler Yuta. It would be less painful, less excruciating. Losing every single bit of ability to breathe is somehow less painful than watching Wheeler Yuta wrestle. But they do that and then wrestle during 2024. And I know I've harped on it in reviews. I will continue to harp on. I'm going to explain why I'm goddamn harping on it. That was one of the worst endings to any pay-per-view. Not because Danielson lost. We knew he was going to lose. I mean, well, it seemed like the people in my section did. I don't know about everybody else of these 6,500 or so fans because it was not 8,200. Not in the goddamn dome. They didn't even fill a goddamn third of it. That holds 23,000 if they wanted to fill the whole thing, and they weren't going to. Whole thing is Danielson loses. They do the thing with Yuta again, all this crap, and everybody's deflated. And everybody's deflated not because Danielson lost, but how he lost. And then Jon Moxley proceeds to do some of the worst wrestling that I have ever seen. And it's not like, oh, he's being a heel, he's doing this, he's trying to not give the audience what they want. No, he just has really bad fucking instincts. And Tony Khan, if Tony Khan booked this stuff, then he's an even bigger idiot than I thought. And he gave us a great show in Everett, and I'm forever grateful for him. But if he thinks any of this Deathrider stuff is good, it's not any fucking good. So, they kept having the Deathriders interfere in all this stuff. And every Jon Moxley feud sucked. It was the fucking shits. The absolute drizzling shits. They get Garcia in the group, which is fucking terrible. I don't even think they actually got Garcia in the group at this point. I think it was just Yuta. I'm trying to remember the timeline, but I'm also trying to forget that Jon Moxley was ever the AEW champion again. But everything about that reign was the drizzling shit. He has it in a briefcase. A briefcase, by the way, that still has more brain capacity than any of the Deathriders. And I'm including Claudio in that because Claudio needs to just stand up and say, I will be over here doing something else, wrestling like he can. And that's the thing, is Jon Moxley is the worst push wrestler that they have ever had in this company. And I'm putting him above Jericho because as bad as Jericho's stuff was, at least for a bit, Jericho was gone. Jericho was gone for a year. And also, Jon Moxley is significantly younger than Chris Jericho and should know better, but no, he doesn't. And that dude with Copeland and all the stuff and taking out the Deathriders, and none of it worked because everybody just kept interfering, all this. And then, yes, eventually, Hangman Skrull, because that's what he's going to be called until he apologizes for, associating with Marty Skrull, the creep pedo crap that he is. And by the way, miss me with the age of consent over there in the UK. You had a fucking wonky ass view of women's rights and everything. So, Hangman Skrull wins, and yeah, it was great. We got a big pop. And then he undid a whole lot of that stuff, but then they had Moxley. They had Moxley put over Darby. None of it went anywhere. Darby wasn't any better off after feuding with Moxley in 2025. Yeah, okay, he's the AEW champion for like 5 fucking weeks. But none of the stuff going on with Moxley was any good. They teased having the split from Moxley, the Deathriders having the split from Moxley, and it hasn't happened. And by the time it does happen, it's not going to fucking matter. So then at Forbidden Door 2025, Ospreay needs neck surgery, and they take him out. Okay, it didn't work with Danielson. That didn't get him the right kind of heat, but okay, let's do it with Will Ospreay. All right. Then he does a feud with Darby. It was dog shit because it was just terrible. And then, Moxley ends up winning the Continental Classic. And now he's the Continental Champion. And I'm not knocking one particular person when I say this term, because I respect the hell out of this person. People are like, oh, Fighting Spirit Moxley back. Oh, Moxley's back to wrestling. Yeah, badly, because he can't keep it in the ring. He can't do anything. He does terrible fucking promos, and all of this stuff has just led to more Death Rider shit and more bullshit. And then Ospreay comes back at Revolution 2026, just a little bit ago. Great, cool. Oh, Ospreay's back way sooner. That's nice. And then he goes almost 10 minutes with Blake Christian when he should have beaten him in a minute. Sorry, Vanilla Bean, but you should have lost quicker. And then he goes to challenge Jon Moxley at the goddamn pay-per-view at Dynasty. That's all it deserves to be called. And then he loses. Whatever. You should have just have it go 20 minutes to a draw. And then be like, we didn't settle anything. Let's not even have it for the title. Let's do this. Because honestly, he doesn't need to win the Continental title. Because Ospreay should be going for the world title. But then they do the thing where they kidnap him. And now they're trying to make him this assassin because, oh, we broke your neck and you came back. We poured bleach down people's throats. But they haven't done this. We're trying to make the company better. No, you're making the company fucking worse. And if Moxley has any creative influence as coming up with this goddamn shit, then Tony Khan needs to tell him to pipe the fuck down, and somebody that actually knows what the fuck they're doing, not Bryan Danielson because he has terrible instincts. Somebody needs to come in and say, we're going to end the Death Riders at goddamn Double or Nothing, and we're just going to move on from this shit. So that's why I'm all pissed off about all this stuff. And I went way longer than I anticipated, but that's a rundown of the timeline. It is stupid. And yes, there are people that are interested in. And if you're interested in what they're going to do with Will Ospreay, great. But none of it makes any fucking sense because they're supposed to be heelish in doing this. But oh, we're going to rebuild you. We have the technology. This isn't any good. I've had to edit myself several times. I've had to stop myself from saying several comments that could get me banned because this is egregiously awful, embarrassing. Just like Shafir's promos, just like Yuta existing, just like Garcia thinking that he's a tough guy. Jon Moxley needs to go the fuck away for the rest of the year. And even then, that won't be long enough. The Continental Championship needs to go to somebody else. They need to reduce the amount of titles that they have. Just whatever. Just all this stuff. New rule. Deathriders and Ospreay rule. If they will not do right by Ospreay, then I can't bother with anything that he does. And watch this all lead to something that's anarqueef in the arena at goddamn Double or Nothing. And by the way, why isn't Alex Windsor concerned about where the fuck her husband is? None of this is any good. None of it makes any goddamn sense if you try to break it down. But Tony Khan knows what he's doing. Granted, the crowd was really goddamn electric. But they were in some kind of basement boiler room, and I felt like, goddamn getting a bunch of steam across my eyes, and I ended up like Patrick Wilson at the end of Conjuring 2. It would have been less painful than watching this shit. So anyway, FTR is at ringside for the following match. So Adam Copeland and Christian Cage took on Rocky Romero and Trent. Rick Knox is a referee, so instantly there is no reason to care about this. I don't find Stokely annoying in the heelish way. I find him annoying like he's having to try too hard to carry this, and he can talk. He's also the size of a child, so I can't take him seriously. So, later, the conglomeration shows up. By the way, this went through a break. Rocky, who, by the way, is stuck up for Michael Hogan, so fuck him. That's all I'm going to say. And Trent, who's a Jordan Peterson supporter and one of the worst kind of human beings that I could ever think of existing in wrestling, and probably has a lot of skeletons in his closet. And the whole thing with his mother in the minivan and everything, that was stupid. But later, the conglomeration shows up. And a popcorn bucket to Stokely's head, and then they just fought off. And that's when I decided, I said, you know what? No, I don't care about the tag team division. This company doesn't care about the tag division. They are building to a goddamn I Quit match. They should have beaten Rocky and Trent within 5 minutes. And yes, Christian has the injured arm and could have done, some selling. But to fucking Trent? I think I could find people in the crowd that could give him a better match. And, well, since his stack of dimes neck wouldn't be able to turn, people could probably just, easily take advantage of him. Trent is an embarrassment, and has been an embarrassment for a while. Him and Chuck Taylor were a good team a decade ago. Maybe 8 years ago, to be perfectly honest. Why did this go through a break? 13 minutes for this dog shit. And then they beat up Trent, which quite frankly, that's the only good thing Trent's ever done in his miserable life, is get his ass kicked. And there we go. Do 6 minutes and then do the beatdown. 12 to 13 minutes for this dog shit. Jericho got beat up by the Demand. Ricochet's a fucking idiot. Stat and Sheeta took on the Divine Dominion, Lena Cross and Megan Bayne. Women's tag titles, and good grief. They eventually got a little bit of a flow, but my God, this was bad. This was awkward. Sheeta was either sandbagging or getting dropped on her head. I don't think that Megan Bayne is ever going to be a good single star. I think she needs to be in a tag team because just something about her, once that bell rings, oh boy, they got a little bit better. Everybody did shit until Sheeta got pinned. Lena Cross has a great look, but I don't have much to say about this. Andrade and MJF do some backstage attempts at comedy. I guess we're getting that match at some point. And then Roosh beat up Stephen Ferrete. And as far as I'm concerned, until Roosh apologizes for sticking up for Stephanie Vaquer's abuser, he can get the Hearns and stick something straight up his ass and go back to CMLL, which even they shouldn't have to endure him. If you're going to stick up for an abusive piece of shit, by the way, you deserve to goddamn just be banned from polite society. Roosh wants something. I don't know, and I don't care. Shibata is back with his new brain. This is the best they have for Joe. Good God, this op stuff is terrible. FTR and Ciampa went to trios titles. Brody King and Darby had an AEW title match. It was actually pretty good. There were fuck Ice chants and fuck Ice, fuck Trump, and fuck you if you support any of it. And if you have a problem with this shirt, I'm going to have it in the background of every review that I want to do. And if you don't like it, I don't fucking care. Go join ICE, and then maybe your family and friends will abandon you, and you'll die alone and afraid, which is what everybody in ICE deserves. Because karma does come for people that are evil. So anyway, Darby bounced off of Brody on a dive. That was a cool spot. More fuck guys chant. Darby clipped Brody's knee on the outside. A sleeper into a roll into the announce table, little barrier thing, logo deal. And Knight and MJF are watching backstage. A sleeper into a sleeper counter into a code red on the desk. The desk said, "I am the table." Darby was limping badly, either selling or he finally got hurt because Darby continues to want to die by the age of 40. And cannonball, and then a lariat for two. Darby fires back. He gets tossed outside onto a cameraman. The concrete got exposed because Darby was clawing at the pad like it's the goddamn end of quarantine or wreck. And then basically we get the barrier prolapsing and a powerbomb to Brody where I'm surprised his head didn't crack. I'm glad it didn't. Coffin drop on him on the concrete, and then a second coffin drop in the ring. 1, 2, 3. So there you go. Darby wins. He faces Kevin Knight next week. There's no doubt he's going to lose to MJF at Double or Nothing. I'd be very surprised if Darby retained. In closing, by the way, despite that rant, I enjoyed the opening, I enjoyed the closing, and there were a couple things that I wanted to like, but good God, this tag division needs a serious reset. And I don't think Copeland and Cage are the goddamn, answer, but they're better than what FTR is doing. Because they're not giving them FTR anything to go for. They're practically telegraphing they're going to go for the trios titles. So that's what I think is going to happen, but it's not going to happen until after Double or Nothing. So I don't mind them setting shit up, but good goddamn Christ, this Deathriders Ospreay stuff, just take a big shit on Ospreay's head. Why don't you just do that? None of this is any good. He should want to kill every single member of them because they participated in that neck breaking, but no, we're going to make him look like an idiot. So anyway, week to week is when I'm going to review AEW. I'm going to decide. Next week apparently is 3 hours because they're having an hour of Collision live because of the playoffs, and they're going to take the other hour of Collision and show it after the playoffs. Kevin Knight versus Darby will get me to tune into that, but just looking at the Collision lineup, AEW has stuff that I want to see. I just have to wade through the shit that they just refuse to give up on. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. So agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. And I'm John Rentlin. I'm tired. I'm tired of AEW shooting themselves in the foot. AEW should be further along than they are. They had a hot goddamn crowd, and they have some good things going. But they just won't pull the fucking plug on this goddamn Deathriders stuff. And the Callis family, they need to disband a lot of this shit. Anyway, until I see what AEW does in the future, unless I decide to take a break, happy trails to you.